Hello, welcome back to the series Taking Care of Our Youth. In the first unit, I had said that in order to take care of our youth, we must remember and respect our worth. In this context, to begin with, let me make a reference to a pattern that's found all over the world in every human being. I say this so that we can be aware of it and thereby avoid this unhelpful pattern. The pattern is this. Human nature makes us neglect what we have and complain about what we don't have. Most people who grumble, almost everyone who grumbles, is entirely focused on what he or she does not have. And in this process completely forgets the fact there are great many things he or she has which can be developed, and if developed, their life will be transformed. Now, an important principle I have experienced in my own life, and one day I'll tell you my life story as well, is that the path to great things is not through great things. Life does not begin with big and great things. Life begins with very small things. The journey of our life began with small steps, uncertain steps. We were toddlers. We struggled to walk. We took small steps. And those small steps, taken then in earnestness and perseverance, enable us today to run, to leap, to reach heights. And that's the principle of life. So, one important principle in taking care of ourselves, in building the foundation of our life, is to recognize the great potentials hidden even in the smallest things that come our way, or smallest opportunities and facilities we are given. I studied in a small school, in a primary school, where in my classroom of 40 students, we had only 2 benches. And the 2 benches together had only 3 legs. The second bench did not have both legs. So that part of it, the legless part, was perched on the next bench. But what happened in the classroom was something different. I grew and I developed. I did not stay stuck in that classroom. I went on to higher and higher and higher things, and it took me all over the world. So the first thing to do if you are creative in taking care of yourself is to realize that even small things can be stepping stones to great possibilities, exciting possibilities. An English poet called William Blake once said that a great man is one who sees the universe in a particle of sand. It bears repetition. Who is a great man? A great man is one who has the ability to see the whole universe in a particle of sand. And I have always held that very close to my heart as the shaping principle of my life. So what does it mean? It means only one thing, that what is important is not what is available to us, but what we make of it, the possibilities that we see in each one of those small things, and the passion and the perseverance with which we work at these things, so that a particle of sand begins to be like the universe itself. That said, I want to now go forward and say that developing ourselves must now be understood. How do we develop ourselves? Now, very often we use words without really entering into the meaning of these critical, crucial words. In order to really go about the business of developing ourselves, we must understand what development is. Now, development, as I understand it, is always a harmony of various dimensions. If a country is to develop, 1,000,000 things have to work together. And where those constituent elements, those parts do not work together, the development of a country will be impeded. the development of a small effort anywhere. Look at a football game, look at cricket. Many people are working together, and they're working together according to certain set principles and a discipline. So that's how things happen. Now that's true therefore of our growth. Anything, let me put it this way, the best way to understand this is, anything which is dynamic will involve multiple factors, multiple dimensions. By dynamic I mean something that does not remain where it is. For example, that piece of stone is not dynamic, it is inert. It will only stay where it is put. It has no dynamism, therefore it doesn't need anything else. If you think of anything which is dynamic, for example, I have two hands. Without both hands I cannot work. And my hands work because there are hundreds and thousands of other things working behind my hands. And I'm able to stand because there is the support I get from gravitational force. I can plant my feet on the ground. The earth supports me. There's a partnership between me and the earth in my standing, my walking. That's how it is. Now, if you think of your personality, the person that you are, the human being that you are, and of developing it, you must immediately realize, and I do realize, and I have done this all my life, that I am a confluence of, a harmony of at least three dimensions. The body is number one, which is visible, you can see it. The mind, which through education we try to develop, but that's not the only purpose of education. We are not only a body and a mind, we are also a soul, a spirit. So if you think of the whole person, the complete person, you are the fullness of these three dimensions. So developing yourself actually means developing all these three dimensions in harmony and together. If you neglect one of the three dimensions and concentrate on the other two with all the strength and passion and enthusiasm you're capable of, you're still not developing. To give you an illustration, if I have two hands and only one hand grows and the other does not grow, and my right hand is now 6 feet long, it doesn't help me. Actually, it cripples me. So development is a harmonious process, and it involves equally all dimensions, the body, the mind, and the spirit. Now, if you really think of the various scattered traditions of thought, you will see this very clearly. For example, in every spiritual tradition, I've come across an emphasis on developing the physical aspect, the body. Take care of your body. For example, in the Bible it is written that the body is the temple of the soul. In other words, if you don't take good care of your body and the body does not grow and develop as it should, then it will be a prison for your mind, a prison for your soul, and you are miserable. This is why, for example, those who abuse their body through substance abuses like alcohol, tobacco, or drugs or whatever, they are unhappy people. I have worked a lot in this field. From 1989 to 1995, I worked in the field of HIV/AIDS, and I'll talk more about it later. And I've seen it, the agony, the misery. I used to cry over the patients who are completely devastated by HIV/AIDS. Young people. You stand by the bedside of a young man who is infected with HIV/AIDS, 20 years old, and you will think that he is 70 years old. So it's important that we take care of the body. And in the secular culture, in the Greek culture, there was a great emphasis on developing a physical culture. Now, recently we had the Rio Olympics 2016. What is it about? It's about developing the body. It's about the displaying the fullness of the possibilities, the amazing, miraculous possibilities of the human body. But the problem with sports now is that those who specialize sports will only do sports. They'll do nothing else. Now that's not the idea of a harmonious growth. Now, we must develop our mind. We get educated, and in the process of being educated, in the process of learning a variety of subjects, in the process of what the South American thinkers on education called celebration of awareness. Education is a celebration of awareness. So when we celebrate awareness through learning, what's happening is that our mind is growing all the time. And as the mind grows and is able to involve and include more and more things, our life becomes richer, more and more dynamic, and we become joyful, and we develop great self-confidence, and we also develop that beautiful eagerness to contribute something to the enrichment of others. On the other hand, if the mind is remaining underdeveloped, if the mind shrinks and shrivels, we look pathetic and we will not be able to lead a meaningful life. At the same time, don't forget, for God's sake, don't forget the spiritual dimension. It's impossible to leave out supernatural intuitions in the way of our life. If that dimension does not exist, human beings are no better than animals. So to develop only the body, or to develop only the mind and the body, and to say that the spiritual dimension does not exist, is actually to go against the interest of developing your own personality. Think of Gandhiji, for example, the father of this nation. Why is he remembered and respected? It's only because he developed the spiritual side. He called his autobiography the story of my experiments with truth. It's a spiritual journey. And he says emphatically that all the political initiatives I've undertaken are nothing compared to my spiritual enterprises. Gandhiji was a spiritual person first and a politician second. And therefore, he saw himself as an agent, and I'm quoting his own words that he wrote in Harijan, 1937, where he says, I am only an instrument in the hand of God to lead the people of India to freedom. That's a sign of spiritual growth. That's a sign of all-round growth. Now, thinking of Gandhi again, Gandhiji disciplined his body. Gandhiji disciplined his mind so that nothing in the world is allowed to stand in the way of his spiritual development. So when our spiritual development is proper, the body and the mind get aligned to it, and all three of them constitute a beautiful, powerful, glorious blend. And our personality becomes a miracle on earth. It is this kind of miracle that I found in Mother Teresa, for example. If you think of the mother, what was her philosophy? The philosophy of service. Now, service, properly understood, is an experience in which the fullness of the spirit, the fullness of the mind, both together, express themselves through the complete harmony of the body. The body is beautifully aligned to the expression of the glory and the fullness of this combined called mind and spirit. It is this that spoke to the conscience of humanity throughout the world. The mother mesmerized humankind for 42 years only because she developed herself in this manner. I've had occasion to meet her and to discuss matters with her. I can tell you from experience, when I stood in her presence, I felt that I was in a very special place, with a very special person. I felt blessed, I felt privileged to have spent those 40-45 minutes with her one-on-one. And that also challenged me to think that this is how a human being can develop. And if I were to develop in that manner, if you were to develop in that manner, what a wonderful thing it would be. The whole world around you, your family, your society, your friends, your associates, and whoever will work with you in course of time when you become a working person, a professional, everyone will be blessed by you. People will seek after you. And to be a person whose very presence enriches others, I believe is the greatest achievement. And that's my prayer for you. Grow and develop in such a way that you can be happy with yourself and others can be grateful to you for who you are. See you next time.